This podcast is not sponsored or supported by any business or organization. The views reflected on these podcast episodes are my own. Please be aware I am not a medical expert, travel agent, or any other kind of expert. Hey everyone! Welcome to the Eat, Explore, Love podcast. I'm Ashley. This podcast is based off of my blog of the same name, Eat, Explore, Love. It talks about the unique challenges in traveling around the world when you have celiac disease. Due to sort of popular demand, I decided to also record a podcast to delve a little deeper into my travels and the lessons learned along the way. Happy Celiac Disease Awareness Month, everyone. My guest today is what I consider to be celiac disease royalty, if such a thing exists. I'm telling you that it exists, and she is the queen of celiac disease. Coral is from Gluten Free with Coral, and she is the resource I direct everyone to when they approach me and say, I've been diagnosed with celiac. Where do I go to learn how to function with that? Her podcast is super helpful for those just starting out and for those that need to be re-inspired. Her website and programs are a great template and jumping off point if you're not sure where to start with your celiac disease diagnosis. I personally have been wanting to chat with Coral for a long time, and it lived up to all of my expectations. So let's get to it. Hi, Coral. Welcome to the Eat, Explore, Love podcast. I cannot even tell you how excited I am to have you here. I have been a longtime listener of your podcast. So to have you as a guest on mine, I feel super duper special. So thank you for being here.
Oh my goodness, Ashley, thank you so much for having me. I just love this. I'm so happy to meet you and just, yes.
I love that with your podcast, you have started this community for people with celiac because it is a very niche community. And I'm just slowly starting to meet other people and get other people's experience. But I wanted to have you on for Celiac Awareness Month, which is the month of May. And it was super important for me to be able to chat with you for that. So could you do you mind taking me through your celiac diagnosis story? I know your your children have celiac. Is that where it started to your own diagnosis?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thanks, Ashley. I know that's always a loaded question. I feel like it's so hard to get diagnosed that it usually just takes so many years.
Yes.
So I was actually sick for about 15 years. And I was from doctor to doctor. No one knew what was wrong with me. People, because I had migraines like crazy. Sometimes I'd pass out. Sometimes I'd throw up. Like nothing was consistent. I couldn't figure out a rhyme or reason. Um, and so, yes, it wasn't until my daughter, Chanel, she was 2.5 years old, and she was just really, really sick too. And I mean, she was more sick than I was. I could still function in my life, where she was tiny, tiny, not even on the charts. Her little body, her arms and legs were super skinny, and she had a large pot belly, and she had the most gorgeous hair until it all started falling out. And then she started to get really nauseous every day. And I'd go to the doctors throughout, and the doctors would be like, "Oh, she's fine. Like, oh, just give her some Miralax because she's constipated for her stomach. Like, she'll be fine." And I'm like, man, as a mom, you kind of know. She was my third child at the time. And I'm like, I know that there's something more to this, right? I'm like, this isn't my first rodeo here. And so just doctor after doctor. And it wasn't until her hair started falling out in large chunks that they were even concerned. I'm talking, they didn't mind she was puking. They didn't mind she was constipated. They didn't mind all those things. But when her hair, they're like, oh, then something's wrong. So then they were like, oh, she has alopecia. And then so we, tested for that. It wasn't. Then they were like, it's cancer. And then I was like, holy crap, this is scary. And then wasn't that, then leukemia, then kidney failure. I mean, we were just going through everything and going through the trenches of getting diagnosed. And the whole time I'm like, can you test for celiac disease? And they're like, no, these aren't the symptoms. And I'm like, I know, but nothing else is working out. So I had to go to 4 different specialists before somebody like turned to me and they were like, okay, we'll test her. And sure enough, it was celiac disease.
What made you
So
think that?
well, so my brother has celiac disease and
Okay.
so does his daughter. And I knew it was genetic, so I was like, well, maybe this is it. I have no idea. Like it's not anything else. Even though it's not the typical symptoms or whatever the doctors were thinking at that time. Now I feel like doctors are a little bit more educated. I mean, this was 10 years ago. So so yeah. So when we got the diagnosis, I was like, "Oh man, this is so much better than like chemo. This is so much better than dialysis." But what, like, but then I was like, but what is gluten free? Like, I feel like, but for real, then what do I do? And like, so then we went on a journey of like, okay, but what do I put on my kitchen table, right? And so then it was like, what do we even like? What does this even look like? Like, what does a celiac pantry look like? Like, I have no idea. What do we do when we eat out? Do we even eat out? Like, I'm not even sure. And so there were so many like basic questions that I was just like, oh my heavens. So I started tracking my journey, and in the process, I still didn't know I had it. But then I was gluten free for an entire year, and then I was like, holy smokes, all my symptoms are gone.
Yeah.
Not all. I should say majority. Like I was like high functioning even more so. Like I was doing so much better. Cuz in the meantime I had to do a career change. I was going to school to be a dental hygienist, but the lights and the looking down, like I was just passing out and like so nauseous every
Mhm.
day. So I switched to a dark room and then I did ultrasounds, OBGYN. So I loved that. But I mean that's what shows you like it was legit like I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I was determined to keep going. But I just didn't. So I was like changing my careers and stuff.
Yeah.
So that is our journey into it. And then I started logging our journey and like what we were eating. And then like slowly companies started sending me food. And I'm like, oh, this is sweet. Like I got some free food out of this. And then people were like, oh, we want to pay you to talk about it. I'm like, oh, shoot, this is like next level. And then I just started working with the GFCO, which certifies all of our foods to be less than 10 parts per million certified gluten free. And then I started traveling and speaking, and then I did keynotes, and then I have my podcast. And so, like, I have courses, I have programs to help people because I remember what it was like. Like,
Mhm.
what do you even put on your table? So I have a program that like literally will walk you through the whole entire process
Yeah.
of like going to school and 504 plans if needed, and just like what to do at work, what to do at church, like what to do in all the different areas that like you now have to be gluten free. So that's what I do. I help people.
So I feel like there's so many things, and I feel like your podcast is a really, when people tell me I've just been diagnosed with celiac, I tell them to go to your podcast.
Oh,
I've had celiac. My diagnosis came just about 15 years ago. Story is very similar to yours, but I was diagnosed at 15 years old. But my mother, like you, was noticing symptoms when my brother and I were 2, 3 years old, even younger than that. And they blew her off of, you're a new mom. You don't know what you're talking about. Like they're fine. And she kicks herself all the time. And whenever she tries to make fun of my height, I always tease her, well, maybe if you loved me more and fought for me more, I would have had nutrients and I would have been taller. So
how tall are you, Ashley?
I'm 5'2" on a good day.
Oh, I'm 5'3". I'm right with you. Maybe we would have been 6 foot. Dang it.
Yeah, I know. So she always tells me how fresh I am whenever I throw that in her face. But with what caused you to want to, because you said that you were doing ultrasounds for the OBGYN, what kind of caused you to change your path to using this platform? How did you get started in being able to use this to help other people? How did that get rolling for you?
Well, great question. So I actually, I'm like an entrepreneur at heart. So my mind is always like, how can I help? And I feel like I get trials in my life and I just like, okay, I figure out how I get through it. And then I'm like, I bet you there's other people that need help
Mm.
too.
Yeah.
And so that's just what it's like. So I was doing ultrasound completely side by side of doing gluten free with Coral for 12 years. It wasn't until my divorce and I moved states. So I grew up in California, and then I moved to the state of Utah in 2020, and I was going through a divorce in that year. And so it was a really hard transition. And so moving up here, I haven't done ultrasounds here just because the pay honestly isn't
Yeah.
the same as in California. Let's be real. So I'm like, I don't think it's worth me. And I'm single mom of four. So it's like, I don't think it's worth me being outside of the home. I need to be inside of the home.
Yeah. What has been, because in your diagnosis journey, it's similar to mine. And I am putting out an episode the week before this one comes out of what my own diagnosis journey was. And it's very similar. And my advice, I also had like, they told me I may have leukemia. They told me I may have all these different things. If, and my advice to people was if you're engaging with the doctors and they're not really willing to hear you, just say, what's the worst case scenario? Just test it. And worst case scenario, it was a waste of time, but at least it ticks something else off the box. What if you have people that are coming to you of, I don't have a celiac diagnosis yet, but I'm having these issues. Do you have any particular words of wisdom for them after your
I
experience?
Yeah, I actually do. And in meeting with so many different people, and like, I don't know, I just work with so many incredible humans. And one of my favorite people is Kathlena, the allergy chef. And actually I was interviewing her on my podcast, and she gave the best tip that I think out there. And she said, if like you go to the doctors and they're like, no, we don't want to test, like it's not that. You just politely and with all respect say, okay, I totally understand that you don't think it's celiac disease. Can you go ahead and note that in my chart that you don't want to test me because we're ruling that out? And that is like the legal, like, no doctor wants to be like, nope, it is not this. Like, they wouldn't do that. And then if they give you hard times or whatever, obviously you switch doctors. Like, right, like, if you don't have one that's going to listen to you or, whatever, um, and one that isn't educated about celiac disease, like find someone else. But if you're there and you're like, okay, and you can say it with like all respect. Like you could be like,
Mhm.
I totally respect like your side and I understand that you don't think it's celiac disease. Can you just go ahead and notate that in my chart?
Mhm.
They're not going to want to notate that in the chart. It's the easiest thing for them to do, start out with blood work, right? Because the blood work, the IgG and the IgA, that's like your first step of getting diagnosed.
Yeah.
And so but you need to be eating gluten when you do that. And so I think that's the trickiest part. So to be fully transparent, Ashley, when I went through all of like what I did with Chanel, I went gluten free with her because I'm like, I don't want her to go gluten free alone. And I'm
That's
like, and I got issues myself. So I'll just go gluten free with her. I'll sit and eat with her all the time. And so I went on this journey with her. It wasn't till this is before I knew everything that I know about celiac disease, but like, and not that I know everything, but everything that I do know. um, but now that what I do know, so I was gluten free for an entire year, and then I had a biopsy. And like, so it was inconclusive. I tried to do the gluten challenge where you eat gluten every day, like
yeah.
6 weeks leading up to it. I was so sick day two. I was like, why in the world am I poisoning my body? Right? Not that I think gluten itself is bad, but gluten in my body is bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I poisoning myself? So like I just decided then like whatever the scope shows, like that's fine. And so I'm like officially unofficially diagnosed with celiac disease and I feel fine about that.
Yeah.
I feel fine about that. And some people will like do the hardest thing in the world and do that gluten challenge and eat gluten every day for like 6 weeks leading up to it. Some say 4 weeks, some say 2 weeks. Like every doctor is going to tell you a different thing.
Mhm.
But to truly get the right diagnosis, if you've been gluten free for quite a while, you need to get it back in your system.
Yeah.
You need to see that reaction that's happening in the villi, right? Because that's what celiac disease, it's damaging those villi. They need to see that damage. If they don't see that damage, they're gonna be like, oh, you don't have it.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's terrible. You have to like hurt yourself to show them that you have it. That's what celiac disease, everybody's worried about like finding a cure. And I'm like, can we just find a diagnosis?
Yes.
If
Yes.
everybody who had it knew, right? They say one out of every 100 people have it, and it's like if everybody could just know,
Yeah.
we'd be so much better off. And then work on how we can help that, right? But it's like if
Yeah.
people don't even know they're eating gluten, they're like feeling trashy. I mean, people call me daily. People like DM me daily,
Mhm.
like lots, and then people that I personally know call me daily
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm having these symptoms. How do I get tested?
Yeah.
And so honestly, so what you want to do is you want to start out with IgG and IgA, get that blood work done. I mean, it's a they some hospitals or whatever call it a celiac panel.
Yeah.
You get that, and if those markers are elevated, that is not 100% showing. Even if your numbers are normal there, it doesn't rule out celiac disease
Right.
100%. You still have to go through other measures. But you do that blood work, and then you end up doing the endoscopic biopsy where they take a little tiny tube and they throw it down your throat, and you're asleep or you're kind of halfway out, and you don't remember it, and it takes 5 minutes. It's not such a big deal. And then they take a little scope. They do a little biopsy, and they're seeing those villi to see how it is. And honestly, like, it's more dramatic and it is expensive. So if you don't have insurance, it's like you have to outweigh, like, is the blood work alone enough for you to feel fine about, or are you wanting 100% like diagnosis or whatever. But with autoimmune diseases, any autoimmune diseases, it's really hard to get an exact diagnosis of whatever it is, whether it's arthritis, whether it's lupus. Like, it's just showing markers if they're elevated or not. So there isn't, like, you either have it or you don't. It's kind of like, well, this is leading towards it. And if, yeah.
It seems also because I'm about to go on my second celiac cruise. I've been on one, my sister and I. So I'm one of four, three out of the four of us have celiac disease. So my sister and I went on the Oktoberfest celiac cruise and had such a good time. But on one of the seminars that they did, they said they expect to see a cure in 10 years for celiac disease if enough people join the studies that they have. And I looked into doing some of the studies because obviously it'd be nice to have a cure or something to help you if you accidentally ingest gluten. It would be really nice to minimize those symptoms. But I don't want to be and the only way, like, I got the endoscopy, but my siblings, because my brother's autistic and my sister was, if I was 15, she was 10 or 11 at the time. So she was too young to get one by my parents' standards. So I took the bullet for everybody and I just got the endoscopy. I'm the only one that qualifies for those studies. And I'm not doing it anyway because I don't want to deal with being in the placebo group if that's where my luck brings me. So if that's the only reason of why you really need the endoscopy, and if you're feeling better with gluten, I don't see why you need to put yourself through all of that pain and poisoning yourself, as you're saying, if it doesn't really get you anything other than maybe that quote unquote 100% official diagnosis. But
Right.
um, something that I found really interesting in listening to your podcast, in one of your interviews, you mentioned to your guest that you loved that they mentioned that their identity, something along the lines of their identity wasn't having celiac disease, that they're
Mm,
just someone that happens to have it, but that's not who they are. And I really had to think about that for a really long period of time because of when I was diagnosed at, like I said, at 15, and it consumes my every thought. So I had to really adjust my outlook on myself by hearing that in your podcast. Do you mind going a little bit deeper into that of
I I love that, Ashley. It is so true. I mean, I feel like we're in a society where we want to label everything,
Mhm.
right? Like, everything is a label. And I'm like, why? There's so much more to us. Like, yes, I eat a little differently. I eat a lot differently than, most people, right? But I mean, there's so many facets to who I am that,
Mhm.
like, if you just take one thing and you just focus on that, like, if you did that with any part of your life, any part of yourself, any part of, like, who you are or what you do, like, that's it. Like, even being a mom, like, if you are a mom, like, if you are only a mom, you go crazy, right? Like, you need to talk to adults. Like, you need to, like, there's so much more to you. Yes, that could be your favorite thing about you as being a mom, but, like, honestly, like, we have so many areas, right? I mean, I've been a dental assistant for 4 years. I was a sonographer for 12 years, right?
Oh,
But,
wow.
like, when you walk up to somebody, it's not like that's just my title. Like,
Mhm.
and when we have celiac disease, like, I'm not celiac disease. I didn't, like, like, I don't walk around like I'm this celiac, like, infested thing.
Mhm.
I just happen to have celiac disease. And I also happen to have rheumatoid arthritis.
Mhm.
And I also happen to have blue eyes. And I also happen to dye my hair to be a little bit lighter, but I have, like, a sandy blonde hair. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there are so many parts of me.
Yeah.
Then why do we focus on the one thing that like ties us down. It's kind of one of those things where it's like people are like, "Oh, you can't have so many foods. Like you can't have pasta and you can't have this and you can't have that." And I'm like, "Actually, I can.
Yeah.
I can have all of those things." But let me tell you too, like let me tell you all the foods that are naturally gluten-free. Like I can have chicken and rice and steak and potatoes and all this stuff without a problem. As long as the seasonings are good, right? Like and as long as it's cooked in the right areas. But like, yeah. Like there's so many things I can't eat. Why are you focusing on what I can eat?
Yeah.
Like that's so dumb. Right? If we're in that, like that's a scarcity mindset. Right? If we're always focused on what we can't have or the negatives of what we do have, then how are we ever going to improve? How are we ever going to level up? How are we ever going to become the hero to our own story? Right? No,
Mhm.
you're the victim. You're the
Right.
victim. Oh, I can't have this and I can't have that. Man, we got to dust that off of us. Like, we got to shake that. If you're focused on everything you can't have and all the things that you can't do with your friends and blah, 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 well, guess what? That's all BS because you can do anything you want to do. It's your mindset. And so it's very much victim mentality that I am like, no, you are the hero. I don't care where you came from. I mean, I've had a crap load of trials in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you focus on that all day long, you're never going to get out of bed.
Yeah. Yeah. With along those lines of mentalities and stuff, I was in Barcelona a few weeks ago and they just started doing, there's this wonderful man that is doing a gluten-free food tour in Barcelona. And him and I were speaking, and there were two other people on the food tour with me that didn't have celiac, but just had a gluten intolerance. And him and I were explaining what it is to go through life with celiac. And he said that it was the greatest gift that he had been given to be diagnosed with celiac. And I said, I'm not quite sure I'm where you're at with that. I don't know if it's my greatest gift. I will say he was right in that I'm able to empathize more with others, that there's an emotional intelligence I now have because of how I have to go through my life, and I'm more thoughtful. I'm a video producer. So when I set up sets, I'm incredibly mindful of making sure everybody's taken care of and able to eat. And there's something about me that whenever anybody's having a gastrointestinal issue, there's like a radar where they're coming to me to tell me I'm having a problem and they feel safe telling me about it, which is totally fine. Where are you at on the spectrum of feeling like celiac is a gift for you? Because you are a very positive person
Yeah.
if your
Well,
podcast
okay.
persona is your real one.
Yeah. No, it's so real. Like what you get, what you see is what you get. Okay. So I have so many thoughts of that and I hope I can formulate them all um in like the proper way. But I honestly, I do believe fully a gift.
Wow.
Let me start out with my daughter, right? Like we thought we were going to be doing chemo or dialysis. And like when you're doing dialysis, I mean, that could be for life. Like honestly, like I know so many people, years and years and years of dialysis and chemo. Like, is she going to pull through? Like, all of these things.
Mhm.
And so gluten free, I'm like, yes, I will take that
Mhm.
any day over any others. That is a gift to me.
Mhm.
Now, let me tell you the perspective of my daughter. She believes I mean, she's had celiac since she's 2, like we've known. She believes she's like the true princess. She would When she was little, we had her come with a little, now she does too, but like she had a little purse and it was like her snack purse and like when we go places, like if it was gluten free, like she would eat first, right? So before all the other hands get in it. I mean, she thought she ruled the world. And then she looks at her food and other kids are like, "Hey, I want to try that." And she's like, "You can't touch my food, sorry." Like she's so bold because of it, because she knows she'll be puking if they touch her food. So she's just like, "Nope, you sorry, you can't touch that." But like she truly believes that she's a princess. And I love that about her. And she will remind me all the time. She will remind me all the time, "Mom, we get this free food because of me. Mom, you get paid because of me." Like, and it's so cute. It's like the cutest thing ever because she's like, "Yeah, it's because of me." And she tells her siblings too, like, "Yep, it's because of me. Yep, it's because of me." And it's just like, yeah, you own that, girl. Like, I don't even care who you are. Like, let's go. And it doesn't become a problem. And she has gone on to be one of the best soccer players of her
Wow.
age. Like she is so good, and she struggles with 5 autoimmune diseases now because she also has others. And so she has lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, she has a condition called encopresis. Like, she has a lot going on, and yet she's learned to survive and thrive. So, like, it's so much perspective that it has been a gift for her. She has so much compassion, kind of like you're saying. Like, now you have compassion for others. She is that compassion. Anyone, like one little boy in first grade, I kid you not, he pooped his pants, but she knows what that's like because she has encopresis, which if you need to know what encopresis is, Google that and you'll just cry for her. But it's like kind of like a leaky bowel
Yeah.
situation where she's so constipated that that sometimes like the fluid around will just leak, and then it's just she knows what pads are like. When she starts her period, she will be so ready. She'll be like, this is not even that
Yeah.
gross. but but a little boy, first grade, pooped his pants, and she just went up to him and she's like, "Oh, I think I need to take you to the
Oh,
office." She goes up to the teacher and is like, "Hey, I need to take so and so to the office." And she's like, "What happened?" She's like, he's having a hard time and he needs to go to the nurse." And she doesn't even tell the teacher, and she takes the boy, walks behind him. I like want to cry because she walks behind him so he'll never be
oh,
embarrassed because she knows what it's like. And it's like, to me, that's like the biggest example of just like love and like unconditional love for like this boy. I bet you she doesn't even play with him on the playground, but like she saw him, like that would be the most embarrassing day of
yeah,
his life. But she just normalized it. She didn't tell a
yeah,
soul. I said, "Sis, did you tell your friends?" And she's like, "No, nobody needs to know, mom." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, first grade." Like, that's the kind where you're like, "Did you see so and
yeah,
so?" Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but she just knows. And I just think like it has blessed her life so much. She knows how to speak up. She knows how to speak out. She knows how to advocate for herself. She knows all these things. But my biggest thing is helping her learn to have a good relationship with
yeah,
food, that she doesn't like develop any eating disorders, right? I mean, that's very real. Like, food makes you puke. Like, okay, like that can go on with a lot of things. And so that's what I love helping people to do with even their kids or even themselves, of like having a health, like food is good, like gluten is good, it's just not good with our bodies, and
yeah,
that's fine. Like, we don't have to bash or shame on gluten and like all these things. It's like, oh yeah, it just doesn't work
yeah,
with my body. And then it takes the drama
yeah,
out of it, right? Like, it takes like the stigma of like gluten's so bad and everyone should be gluten free, which I think gluten free helps a lot of people. Don't get me wrong, but like gluten itself isn't bad, especially 200 years ago when they farmed it
yeah,
properly.
yeah, yeah. I relate to so much of what, especially with your daughter, and oh God, I feel for her so in so many different ways. Especially because for me, my celiac diagnosis was just the beginning of all my diagnoses that I ended up getting. It was not the end like it can be for so many people. Um, and I think the biggest part, and I think I am so happy for her that she has a community around her that is so supportive and thinks so positively about all of this, because my sister and my brother kind of doesn't really know the difference, but we would go to family occasions, and if my mom made something gluten free for us but made it in such a way that everybody could have it, no one would touch it because they found out it was gluten free, and it'd be like chicken and rice and broccoli. Like, it wasn't like it was something super crazy,
So
and
dumb.
it made us feel other and less than because no one would touch our food because it was gluten free. And I think, it's you're just kind of validating things of how important the community around you is and helping it feel like it is a gift, and how your daughter's so lucky to have you as a mom. And I'm sure her siblings and her friends and everything else like that. I'm so happy for her. I'm sorry that she has to deal with the nonsense of her health conditions, because I can totally relate to that too. Um, but I'm so happy for her that she has her community and that she's able to thrive.
Oh, thank you. There is power to that, and it's finding your tribe. Not everyone
Yeah.
understands, but I feel like it's like the best way to
Yeah.
find a true friend, right? It's like, oh, if you can't handle this, like you're not
Yeah.
even gonna handle anything,
Yeah.
right? I'm back in the dating world at 40 years old, right? And I'm like, oh shoot, you know. But I'm like, that's my favorite thing. People are like, this is so hard to date with celiac. And I'm like, actually, no. Because if they're funny about it or whatever, and this isn't even that serious. Like, I mean, it is serious. Like, do you know what I mean? But like not eating gluten, like for reals, like there's a whole lot more hard trials you go through in your life than
Right.
eliminating a food. It does, it's life altering. I'm not minimizing it. I'm not minimizing it to even so much that like I help people to help them find their new normal of
Mhm.
this, you know, but like honestly, there's so many other trials that we can be going through, that we are going through, that really, like, once we can understand gluten free, then it's just so, we're so much better off. We understand. And now I'm not like, before I would be like, organic, what? Like, I mean, 10 years ago it wasn't as like known, you know, and it's like organic, that's like for the hippies, you know, and then like gluten free, that's for people who are like, I don't know, just so high maintenance. And then it's like, oh, actually, not
Mhm.
even at all. So I try to help squash those things, you know. So, and I actually put a post up the other day, and it was so controversial, and I love that because I'm like, oh yeah, think about that. But I'm like, it's not hard to be gluten free. It's
Yeah,
inconvenient.
you're absolutely right.
And if you think about it, I mean, nowadays it's not hard. Like you can find stuff, right? Like you can find gluten free just about anything. It's just super inconvenient. It's either really like it could be more expensive, or you have to go further to a restaurant, or you can't go through a drive-through. You have to like, you know, you have to make it at home. You have to prep before. So it's like, yes, it's very inconvenient. It's not hard once you
Yeah,
find your
absolutely.
groove,
Yeah.
right?
You actually brought up something in what I was going to be my next topic of conversations, which is dating with celiac. So to kind of
Oh yeah.
I'm going to also tell my own pooping my pants story. But with I was in college. I started dating my partner of 7 years. We have since broken up, but we just started dating at this point, and I went to a diner, and they cross contaminated my food, and I was trying to run to the bathroom. I didn't make it in time, and I had to call him and be super vulnerable and humiliated and say, I need you to bring me a change of clothes because I've soiled myself, and explaining to him. And it was a great learning curve and for him and for me. And I got my clothes. He helped me through it. And after going through that for 7 years and entering, one of my biggest struggles is having to learn to be vulnerable with someone again in that way of, listen, if I'm going out with you to like gathering or something, I need like there's some certain things I'm going to need you to be on the lookout for that you may not be used to. So I know you did a whole podcast episode about this, and thank you for being so vulnerable and being willing to do that. What are some like off the handle tips that you could give for people that are maybe dating someone with celiac? Because my former partner tried to use it as an excuse for why he wouldn't bring me out on dates ever. And I think that's so silly. So now that
Yeah.
I'm about to go and embark on this whole dating thing again, what's some advice that that other person can be given so I can be treated like your daughter and be a princess like her?
Yes, I love that. Okay. So honestly, like, and I mean, I've gone through the ringer. Like, I'm not actively dating right now. I'm just kind of laying low. But when I was actively dating, I would have like a list of like 3 to 5 restaurants that I felt safe and comfortable with going to. And I mean, I would, if somebody asked me out, I would say, like, oh, yeah, that's great. And I'm like, just so you know, I eat gluten free and I have celiac disease. It's not a problem,
Mhm.
right? This isn't a problem. It's just we have to work with this. So I'm like, these are some of my favorite go tos. Like, if you want to go eat, like, these are some of my favorite go tos. And I give like different price ranges too. So I'll do like super like In-N-Out Burger or Chick-fil-A, right? And then I also do like a medium, like a sit down kind of cash, or I do a fancy. So because I don't know what they're thinking, right? Being the girl and the guy usually pays, right? I mean, and so it's like I didn't want to like assume and send him to like this really fancy steakhouse when he was like, oh dang, I'm like on a budget. Like we're never, you know. So I try to do that, like give a list of like different like of little variety, even if you just do 3 different ones, one medium, like cheap, medium, and expensive, just so you can have that. So I feel like that's really good because they don't know where to take you. They've never even lived this. Like I always say, like you don't know it
Mhm.
until you live it. Like like I couldn't feed someone gluten free before I was gluten free. Like I would be so stressed. Like I don't know
Yeah.
what to do. So that's how they're feeling. So you have to have compassion and grace on them. and it's something new to them. So it might seem like a huge deal to them at first, which you just kind of normalize the situation, right? And so having a list of a few different places will be really, really helpful. And then just don't apologize for
Right.
yourself, right? Like, don't be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gluten free. No, you own that. Like, no, you know what? I'm actually gluten free and I feel so good
Mhm.
when I am. And you'll be so grateful that I eat gluten free because I get so sick and I'm pretty sure you don't want me
Yeah.
sick on the date,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Right? Like, you don't want to be picking up my puke or changing my underwear. Like, let's be real. Like, let's just go eat gluten free and have a good time. Or you can say, like, if you just are like, so, like, some people get high anxiety, right? If you are anxious about it, say, you know what? Let's just go play some pickleball. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to. And then, or say, like, let's go hit a movie. Like, that's like so cliche, but like, and then just bring your own snacks, right? Bring your own snacks. Like, that's not a problem. He's gonna be like, dude, you're the cheapest date.
Yeah.
I love you. Bring some for him too. You know, you'd be like, oh dang, she's smart. She's frugal. Like, okay. There's a difference between
Yeah.
cheap and frugal, you know. She's frugal, okay, because that would have been $10 here, but we got it for $1 at
Yeah.
Walmart. So, you know, it's just like, and don't, like, my biggest thing is like, don't excuse yourself. I recently did a podcast with a girl named Natalie, and she's a college student. And so she just got diagnosed with celiac disease, like right before she went off to college. And so she was just like, oh my goodness. And so I was coaching with her. She did my healthy challenge. So she did a 12-week really health, like dialed in calm inflammation program. And, cause she was just so sick. And so, I coached her a lot through like the
Mhm.
verbiage and her gaining confidence that she doesn't need to excuse celiac disease. And at the time, she was eating super healthy. So she was very, very limited. But we still found a restaurant or two that she could go and she'd be like, yeah, if you want to eat, like we can go here. And this is only for a time where I'm super dialed in, but I'll always be gluten
Mhm.
free. You know, like I'll always be gluten. And you just normalize. You're not just like, because if you're doomsday, if you show up like, dang, I got celiac disease, they're going to be like, you got
Yeah.
what? Yeah, I don't want to sign up for that. Right? Like, it's all about your presentation and how confident you are in who you are. Because remember, you were not celiac disease, you just happen
Yeah.
to have it. So if you are confident in who you are and who you show up to be, that's incredible, Ashley. Okay, so Ashley, tell me, like, what are you nervous about? Let me do a little bit of coaching right here. So what are you nervous about with dating again? Like, what specific, like if you have a
Oh
scenario or
goodness.
something?
I think it with me with dating, it's having to specifically with celiac, what a great question because I've thought about the all the other trauma things that I have to think about when it comes to dating, but I think it's the, I get very so in addition to celiac, I also have gastroparesis, which means my stomach has a hard time breaking foods down. And that causes me to be quite gassy. And which is a common problem even if you just have celiac on its own, forget about the rest of it. But I think that is something that my other partner didn't have a sense of smell, so it was okay if I needed to have a moment, it didn't bother him, but that is something that other people are bothered by, and I recognize. So I think that is an insecurity I have going into the dating space is the gas that needs to be dealt with is with me.
Yes. Okay. That is so real. And I love how vulnerable you are. Cause like who even wants to talk about this? But I mean, for real though, we got to. Okay. So here's a few things. I'm going to preface this with like, I used to be super
Mhm.
gassy as well. And then I did the anti inflammatory protocol. We call it the healthy challenge. My kids did it too. And now that has minimized because you're doing a food elimination diet where you're calming all inflammation. Your body is learning how to handle foods and break them down a little bit better, right? And so, and then in that process, then it's not so dramatic. And then, like, I have more confidence and different things like that. So, okay, so maybe trying something like that, dialing in and finding which foods are the hardest for your body to break down because it's different than my body, it's different than Mary Jane's, it's different than everybody's. And so that's why the beauty of the healthy challenge is like it's specific for you. and what can help you thrive. Okay, so I'm going to get off that. But now let's coach you through some of those hard emotions of like the reality, right? That reality of it can happen. So, obviously, first date, you're not going to want to be like passing any gas. Like, that's just like, wow, right? Right. So, maybe you take a little bit more control of the date.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you eat last, so you go home right
Yeah.
after. And maybe, and you don't have to be like, I'm taking charge, I'm going to be like the one that makes all the shots, but you could be like, you know what? Like, I would prefer, just because like I have celiac disease or whatever you want to say, like it's a real thing. I'd rather just go home after we eat. So can we do our activity or something first and then we eat
Yeah.
and then we go? Perfect. Right? And that's because that's like first date status. Or if you find that certain foods are good for you, find a couple restaurants in your area to be able to feel confident that like you could last another couple hours with this person and not be like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or like go on a walk after, like go on a hike after, you know what I mean? Just get like super creative, like what could be good for you. And then ultimately remember though, if they can't hang in those moments, they're not going to be the long term
Yeah.
game, anyways. And I bet you, and I'm so sorry that you had that experience with your ex, as far as like, just like not, wanting to take you out and stuff. Like, I hope now you'll be able to see red flags
Yeah.
sooner.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole other conversation for a whole other podcast. But
Oh, I am absolutely
yeah.
certain of that.
Uh,
But like, but okay, so when I say to you that like maybe you can have a little bit more control of like the
yeah.
agenda, how does that feel to you?
Probably if you spoke to anybody that knew me, they would say that's Ashley's cup of tea, is being in control of everything. I so I don't mind setting my boundaries of what I need. So that sounds like a really great perspective of trying and starting out a date by saying these are the things that I need in order for this to get off on the right foot. Um, and then if they don't
Yeah.
respect, to your point, if they don't even respect those simple boundaries, then red flag, see you later. Uh, yeah.
Right. And it's all about delivery, right? Maybe you write it down. Maybe you practice it in the mirror. Maybe you call your best friend and you just say, hey, listen to this. How does that sound? Because you don't want to get there. If you're like going in and dominating, which I know you wouldn't do, but like if you're like, I need this, this, and this, like that's like,
Yeah.
wow, like I don't even know you and I have a headache, right? So it's like coming off and having that confidence, like, I am so glad you asked me out. Like that means the world to me. And I'm so excited. I just want you to know that I eat gluten free. And sometimes my stomach hurts after I eat, even when I
Yeah.
eat gluten free. And I'm just wondering if like the first couple time, like the first time we go out or something, if we could just like do it in a different order. Like it's probably seems
Yeah.
silly to you, or whatever. Like it might seem silly, but just know that like we'll have a great time, and just be confident that you are fun,
Yeah.
right? It would just help me out if we just ate
Yeah.
after. Like, and you say, like, what do you have in mind? Like, what were you thinking? And then you could be like, okay, I just want you to know. Cause like what I've done too in the past is like, they ask me out and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, shoot, I didn't tell them I'm gluten free. And so then I'll like call them like, hey, should I come hungry? Right. And then that's kind of a good way of like, are we going out to eat? Right. Should I come hungry or should I have eaten? And then they tell you, and maybe you say, I'll just eat
Yeah.
beforehand. Can we just do the activities? Whatever, like however you feel without like your anxiety like rushing
Yeah.
through.
I so much of what you just said, I could branch off into a million bajillion questions, but I want to make sure that we talk about all the resources that you have um, at disposal for people to use, because you have your website, you have your podcast. There's
Mhm.
so much really great resources and information on there. Is the best step one of knowing where to look your 12-step program that you have, or is it just perusing through your website, or are there specific podcast episodes that people should read through? What would you feel is step one of how you feel your resources could best help people?
Well, I always say that like everybody's on
Mhm.
a different journey. So if you're like wherever step you're in, if you were to search my podcast, then you just start with the ones that the titles reach out to you, right? Whether it's like working with celiac, whether it's going to school with a child that's gluten free or an allergy or, whatever, just start going through. And it's like gluten free your pantry, gluten free your fridge. Like I have episodes on, I have over 100 of just like super solid, like how to's. And so that's awesome. And that's all free. And if you're wanting like the handheld process of like, what do I do? Like I'm really at the beginning. How do I become like efficient gluten free? I have a 12-week program. You could do it in less, you could do it in more, kind of depending on how fast you want to go and like how on it you are. But it literally, like, I have coaching along the way that's already like in there, like, this is your week one, like, this is what it is, and this is how it can help you. And it's journaling and it's writing, and I'm asking you questions and you're doing, right? It's very interactive. And it comes with like recipes, it comes with my gluten free shopping guides, like all of these things to help you thrive. And then I also have a program that I kind of mentioned a little bit ago that if you're already gluten free and you're like, yeah, but I'm still like not feeling great, my 12-week healthy challenge is like money because it's like the elimination. So it's like total anti-inflammatory protocol. So all like anti-inflammatory foods you're eating for about 3 to 4 weeks. Then you slowly introduce foods back in a certain order to see how your body's responding. You're logging it, and then you're like, holy cow, I didn't know. See, the whole time, like I thought like I was gassy and I was different things like that, right? But guess what it was? It was an apple. I'm like, what the heck? I can eliminate an apple, no problem. It's so
Yeah.
weird. So weird that it was the apple. And so like, and everybody's different, and no doctor can tell you, no doctor could tell me. Like it's like you're the one living with you all day long. Nobody knows how you're feeling. So it's like really dialing in and understanding it. So I have those two programs. So one is the gluten-free transformation and one is the healthy challenge. So podcast, my challenges that I have, and then I just have like my gluten-free shopping guide that you can go and just grab, and it has hundreds of ideas that are both naturally gluten free and also packaged that are the best that like my family would actually purchase. Because it's hard. Like you want to try new bread and you're like, is it worth $9 for that loaf? I don't know. But it could be if that's like your favorite thing in the world and you're like, yeah, I splurge on that because I can't go to Subway and get a $9 Subway. I buy a whole loaf for $9. Like, right? It's like very much perspective and how we look at it. Yes, you might spend more at the grocery, but you're spending a whole lot less eating out. So anyways, and you can always find me on Instagram at gluten free with coral. I'm there most live. Other things I drip out, like I'm on TikTok and I'm on Facebook, but like, and YouTube shorts and all of that. But my main hub is Instagram. That's like where the community is.
Do you because I have like I'm on Facebook groups because everywhere else on social media I'm pretty much dark for my own mental well-being. So for your celiac community, because I've had people come at me because people will ask advice and say, because celiac recently in the States has been determined a disability, and it basically means that, I mean, you know what it means, but for listeners that don't know,
Right.
it basically means that if work is providing food for everybody else, they should be providing food for you or allowing you the resource to go and do that, allowing you to have more bathroom breaks if need be, like I would need. And if you've been glutened, they can't hold it against you if you need to go home for the day, things like that. Which I found really great. And so I mentioned that to someone because someone inquired about that on a Facebook group, and then a bunch of people came for me and said, it shouldn't be the job or workplace's responsibility to deal with your celiac. That's our problem, not their problem. I'm like, I didn't say anything. So is there anything in particular is your community a healthy, happy space? Or do you find
Mhm.
that there's certain things that it's the internet, so people are gonna behave like they're on the internet? Or what is that like for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I am more of a optimistic personality, like that's what I come off as. I mean, people will try to like shut me
Mhm,
down, but I don't take that, and like I don't
mhm,
feed into it. So I don't get a lot of trolls. I'll get comments here and there, but like I don't because I
yeah,
don't engage in that. And if they were to watch any of my content, I mean, you're always gonna have haters. You're always gonna, and that's like so weird to me because I'm like, actually, like I don't know why somebody, if they knew me, I don't know why they wouldn't like me because I'm not. like, I don't know, but it's kind of like one of those things with like politics and religion. People just get so funny, which I'm not even funny. I'm like, believe what you want. Like, I like support you. Like, that's awesome. Just believe in something. Like, I think that's healthy. So like, but I just don't engage if somebody's like rude or
Yeah.
what. If it's really negative, I would delete it. But other than that, I just don't engage in it, and it's totally fine. And honestly, I don't get much of that at all. Of the backlash. Like I said, like that one post that I did was controversial. Just like gluten free isn't hard. It's just inconvenient. And some for some people, and someone said I was insensitive by saying that. And I just think, you know what, like honestly, if you knew who I was and what I stood for, it's absolutely not like I help you take the hard out of it. Like when it's hard, we're doing something wrong. Like we can help that. And yes, it's super inconvenient, but let's help bring some more convenience to it. Like we have a car pantry in our van. The back of my van has a full-on car pantry that anyone needs anything at any time because we can't go through a drive-through. Is it inconvenient? Yeah, but I just as I fill up my pantry, I fill up my car pantry. Not a problem. So there's certain things you can do to help yourself. And so when people have negatives, it's like, oh, well, okay, I'm sorry that that's how you're feeling, but yeah, we'll just keep going.
I I know we're approaching the end of our hour together and I want to use it wisely. I feel like I have enough questions still for you for a whole other episode because I've listened to your podcast and I admire you greatly. And I have some rapid fire questions, but my last big question that I have for you is, do you ever have days? And I listened to your family holiday episode and I was so envious because I wish I could have my family come together and make it a teamwork effort,
Oh,
and that we could all share in the experience and just have a gluten-free Thanksgiving and everybody be supportive. But you know, I feel like you're a human being as well. And how do you, and I'm sure you have days where it's really tough and a hindrance and annoying to be gluten free. So, being that I'm a negative
mhm.
Nancy most of the time, how do you get through your bad days? Because I need to figure out how to be as positive as you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, as you're saying that, I wasn't sure which holiday episode you listened to because 2 years after that one that I did with or actually it was probably the following year or what. Anyways, okay. So one episode is like Thanksgiving and everyone came together and was so great. But then Christmas, like the year after, 2 years later, um, it was like a nightmare. And I'm like, oh my goodness, because it wasn't in
Mhm.
my house. And then like, you know what I mean? And there were comments said and things weren't safe and gluten's everywhere and everyone's touching everything. We had a gluten-free section and all the kids are
Yeah.
eating out of that too. And I just like lost my mind. And I try to like hold my breath that I don't lose my mind on everybody. But I just said, I'm so sorry. We're gonna go ahead
Yeah.
and leave. So we left. I took my kids, we left, and I said, let us know when you're just doing an activity and we'll come
Yeah.
and join you. Because they know clearly what we can handle and what we can't. And they know clearly that Chanel's gonna be puking, that I'm gonna be sick. Like, and if they're not conscious of that, like, then I don't want to be
Yeah.
around them. Right? Like straight up. Like if you don't care that my daughter's gonna be puking, then I don't
Yeah.
care to be with you. And so it's like having really clear boundaries. So it's not all roses. So I love that you use the example that when it was, but it's not. And so I went home and I cried. And I don't cry too much for celiac disease
Mhm.
anymore, except for when my daughter's puking. I feel like that just I lay on the floor and I cry with her for sure. But like when I'm not included or stuff, that doesn't affect me so much anymore. I mean, it's been so many years and I've really learned how to coach
Mhm.
through that. But taking a time out for you is so important. And Ashley, like if negative Nancy or whatever, right? Whatever you want to, but that you're not negative Nancy, but sometimes you can have emotions like that, right? Like getting really clear on that, like of having compassion on yourself, like realizing that like you're human and it's like 50% good and 50% bad always. So when the bad happens, you're just like, yeah, it's supposed to be bad because there's also a lot of good. And that's just the way it's supposed to be. And so just really getting clear on like when it's hard, it's not going to be hard
Yeah.
forever. And when you're going through a storm, it's not going to be stormy forever. When you feel like a tidal wave's coming down, it doesn't always just keep crashing. It smooths out eventually. Sometimes we don't think that in the moment of it, but just reminding yourself to have compassion and know that like, yeah, I mean this is super
Yeah.
hard at times, or this is super inconvenient, or this is super sad at times. But it's not always sad, and it's not always hard, and it's not always inconvenient, but we get to create our life, right? So it's like you get to show up as the hero to your own story. So like that Christmas where it was really hard, I felt like I showed up as a hero still, even though it was hard. I was like, okay, look, I'm not saying I hate you all and I'm never seeing you again. I'm saying, just let me know when you're not dealing with food and let's go do something
Yeah.
fun together. Boom. Right? Like, I still am proud of myself for showing up that way. I had to set a clear boundary. It was like, if food's involved, I'm out. Because you people are not understanding
Yeah.
me today.
I need my mom is amazing. I need you to be my second mom. I need I need you. I need a Coral and Susan mom combination because it would be one hell of a
Oh my
combination.
goodness. Oh, you're
Uh,
so sweet. You are so sweet.
but so that I feel like I could do a whole other episode with you, but we'll leave it at that for now. I have a couple of rapid fire questions in the Eat, Explore, Love vein, if that's okay. Okay,
Yes,
so
let's
what
go.
is your favorite food city?
Food City. Oh shoot, I feel like I don't get out that much. Okay, this isn't very rapid fire. Take it. Honestly, I think Utah Valley
Okay.
where I'm at. I'm comfortable with it and there are a lot of great
Next
places.
time I go to Utah, I'll have to connect with you. Uh,
Yes. Yeah, there's great.
when you're planning a vacation, do you prefer a vacation that you relax or that you're active? Ooh, good for you.
Relax. I'm a beach girl. I'm a beach girl.
And then what is the city that you learned the most about yourself?
Whoa. Um oh. I would say Provo, Utah because I went to school there. I went to college there. And so I learned a lot in those college years. And then I moved back to California for years. But now I'm back up here in Utah. You never know. So yeah.
And then where we talked a lot about your podcast and your website and all the programs, where particularly can people find you?
Come on Instagram with us. It's like such a fun family community. Like we're just all rooting each other on. It's so great.
It's amazing. That's all the questions that I have for you. Coral, I've been wanting to do this for so long, and this lived up to every single one of my expectations. Thank you so much for
Oh,
this chat, and I'll have to have you back at some point in time because this was amazing.
let's do it. I would love that. Ashley, you're a doll. Thank you for all you do. Happy Celiac Awareness Month. Like, let's go. Let's tell all our friends how cool we are. Maybe we'll
Yes,
recruit a few.
yes.
I'm just kidding.
All right.
All righty. Thank you,
Bye.
Ashley.
I hope this conversation was just as amazing for you as it was for me. My cheeks hurt from smiling so much getting to chat with Coral. She was amazing and is amazing. For anybody that is inspired to ask questions about what it is to live with celiac, or if you want to know how to better support your relatives or friends that have celiac disease or any other autoimmune disease, please feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. I would love to end this Celiac Disease Awareness Month with a Q&A from all of you guys that are trying to learn about celiac, or even if you want to talk about your own experience with celiac, I would love to chat with you. But I need to get Coral back on this podcast because I still have so much more to talk about with her. She is just incredible and so inspiring, and I know whenever I need another dose of positivity, I'm going to be reaching out to her for help. So I'm going to let you guys go on with your day. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this was super helpful. Till next time. Thank you for joining me this week for all the fun journeys and lessons learned on my big adventure called life. For more information on the different cities discussed, check out the blog posts on hieatexplorelove.com, posted every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you have any questions or fun stories to share, feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Until next week, remember to eat well, explore the world, and love yourself. See you next time. This episode is produced, scripted, and edited by me, Ashley. Ashley. Special thanks to Sarah Mientka.